Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Scott Stoltz with Create Your Great, and I am so excited. I'm sitting here today in Danvers, Massachusetts, not a town I frequent too often, up on the North Shore of Boston, and I'm sitting with Fran Goldstein, the founder of Goldstaff Consultants, and we are going to talk a little bit about branding today, how branding impacts you, what you want to be mindful of, and how it can improve and enhance your career no matter what you do. It doesn't just have to be if you own your own business, if you're an entrepreneur or solopreneur. Branding is relevant to all of us in today's world. And Fran is not only an expert in this area, but she is underway and started in her creation of a new organization and business that's going to impact a lot of people, and I'm really excited to hear more about that today.
Well, thank you, Scott. I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, thank you so much. And you've been a very positive influence with me in the last few months since we met, which I'm so grateful for, connecting me with other people and bringing amazing ideas into my space too, which I really appreciate. So I wanted to take a few minutes and share the opportunity. Fran, tell us a little bit about, before we talk about branding in and of itself, but what is something that gets you motivated, gets you excited, gets your juices flowing every day when you think about brand or branding for an individual? Not so much for a company, but for an individual.
Yeah, and it's funny that you picked up on that because I do. I get so excited and I get so fired up when I hear branding and I have someone to work with about that, a new client or someone in the marketplace who's really struggling to figure out their brand. I think it's learning and finding and figuring out who someone is, you know, both on the inside and out. You know, your career is one part of you, your work life as it's normally called, and your home life is another part. And in today's marketplace, because cultural fit is so key and critical to job security and job performance and job happiness, that your whole brand really needs to be incorporated into that process now.
Even in the big corporate cultures. Right?
Especially in the big corporate cultures.
You know, I want to tee this up for you because,
Especially.
18 years in corporate, and it's funny because, and I worked for a couple of really big companies.
Yes,
and
you did.
I never thought, nor did a lot of people that I worked with, about brands for ourselves or branding ourselves. It was always about the employer, the big company. Especially when I worked for a Fortune 10 company, it was all about their name. But we're coming from an angle, right? And you're talking about how people can help themselves and their career, branding them as an individual and as a contributor to make them more marketable, to bring more value.
All of that, Scott. You know, and you do raise a good point because you did work for a big major company and you did very well and you had many different roles. I assume that's because you're pretty conscious of your own brand, and we can talk about that as well. The bigger the company, the easier it's been historically to get either lost in the shuffle or complacent and just, you know, stay there and stick it out like our parents did and our grandparents did until you retire. But when you have brand awareness, in a big corporation like your own journey, let's talk about that for a minute, you know, you give yourself the opportunity to be elevated throughout that big corporate structure. You can be a small fish in a big bowl, but you can still swim upstream. How about that for an analogy and a metaphor?
I like it. It's hard, but that's what we do.
It is hard, but that's what you do. And that's why, you know, big companies as well as startups experience so much turnover. And I think a lot of it has to do with the lack of branding, because people come in at a certain role or a certain position, especially in a startup. You're going to come in and you're going to be right here. In a corporation, you're going to be sort of plugged in or popped into a rec opening. And that's not judgmental. It's just the way it works when you become big. You have to be so super organized. But then if you do not, you know, enhance your brand and hey, I'm here, and hey, I can do this over here and I can do that over there on top of what I'm already doing because I'm learning and I'm growing under the umbrella of the big corporate brand, then you either get moved out or you ultimately move yourself out to another company. Does that make sense?
It does. And again, I'm sitting here with Fran Goldstein, founder of Goldstaff Consulting. And if you have questions, if you've ever thought about how do I brand myself, how do I bring, and even if you've never thought about this, and this is what I like because in the space that I'm in now, branding is something that comes up a lot around me and with people like yourself, is maybe it's time that you start thinking about branding, how you can brand yourself in a way that will enhance and boost your career. So if you're watching live on Facebook now, feel free, pop in a question. We're going to be on for a few minutes.
There's a couple coming in right now.
Absolutely. We got Jillian watching.
Yeah.
Hello, Jillian. And if you have some questions about branding and what it means for your career, shoot us over so Fran can answer it. And before the end, we're going to give you all of Fran's information so that you can find her online. She's an expert in this field.
Yeah, great.
So branding, and how about for an entrepreneur? And what kind of tip or opening teaser would you give to somebody who is starting a business or is thinking about it? And what are the things to be mindful of when it comes to branding?
Yeah, it's a loaded question. That's an excellent question. Short answer is, if you're an entrepreneur, is to really think about branding in terms of image, both in terms of like written and visual image that you're creating. In Boston, for example, here there's we're so fortunate and so rich with life sciences and now clean tech, and we're really competing with you out there in the West Coast, Jillian. But a lot of times there's so much emphasis on either the product or the cure for cancer that folks are working on, and the R&D part of a company, that the branding isn't really given attention until maybe it's too late. So, for example, here's a quick story. Yesterday I was speaking with a client who said, I'm starting a company, it's really, really cool, and the name of it is, and she gave me the name of it. I said, I love it. Her business is about clean air cleaning in businesses and homes and residences. I mean, that's a huge market right now, clean air. So she came up with a name for her company. They're pretty far into getting funding. So their branding has been passed through a lot of compliance stuff, paperwork, etc. And she said every time anyone hears the name of her company, because it's air something, I don't want to reveal it here, people think it's about flight attendants. They think it's air, meaning flying, that they're up flying planes. Yeah. She says, so we have to change the name, and here we're 2 years old. So it's kind of a good example. You really have to think in terms of long-term meaning for your brand, and if it really represents your product, your services or solution, and your culture. It's big. It's huge.
Well, and I
identity.
When I do some of the work that I do as a career coach, and when I'm helping people or just doing even a very short breakout, I'm very mindful of how can I make people feel in the moment. And by that I mean, how do I draw something out of them or share something with them that's going to evoke a feeling. And so when I think of branding too, and there are names and images and your story that you just shared, but is branding part also about that feeling that you can give somebody when they see your name or think of the work that you do? Yes,
that's fabulous. That's really true. I do a lot of recruiting. I've been recruiting for many decades, as you know. And in recruiting, I even find that when candidates, people in the marketplace who are looking to secure their next opportunity, be it actively or proactively or reactively, because there's so much turnover in this market these days, they often don't think of their brand as connoting a feeling, like you just said. They think of their brand as maybe their resume, which is a black and white document, and most people's resumes really talk about their job description, and their bullets are about what their job description has been, not really about who they are or what they have achieved or accomplished or what the result of their work has been. And that's when it becomes into branding.
Becca, thank you. And for several people who have joined us, Becca, thanks for your call out there. We will make sure to correct that. Heather, hello. Thanks for watching. So, Fran, let's spend a couple minutes talking about your background. You just alluded to years of recruiting experience. And in the short time that I've known you, you're so authentic and you're so passionate. And I know we throw those words around a lot. We throw them around a lot. But I can honestly say they're 100% applicable to you. I see it, I feel it, I hear it, and I love it. And I love what you've undertaken in your new venture. What are one or two of the things in your years of experience of doing this kind of work that is your why? What's inspiring you to get out and help people in this way?
And it's funny because my degree in college was in social work because I always wanted to help people. But this is a different kind of helping people, but it's still helping people. What gets me going is helping people really come to terms and identify who they are at whatever stage of life they're at.
Mhm.
Because brands evolve. That's why I call what we're doing now at Goldstein Consultants, we're about recreating. We're about recreating and helping people recreate their own journey in their life and in the workplace.
Important. And as a career coach, and I work with a lot of people who get that stagnant feeling. And as I share and I work with a lot of people, it's not always a case of somebody needs to quit their job and go do something completely else, or completely reinvent. I think some of what you do, and certainly the work that I do, as working somebody through a transition in their life, you can rebrand yourself and recreate yourself and not necessarily leave your company.
Oh, absolutely. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of recreation, and that is part of what gets me fired up. As you asked me before, is when I talk with people, and I could give you a million examples. Of course, I've been around a long time, of people who come into me and they're talking and they talk about their job, and their eyes kind of go down like mine just did, and their voice gets a little bit quiet, and I'm like, doesn't sound like you're loving your job. And sometimes it's like they're not necessarily not loving their job, but there's other parts of their personality or their lives that they've really got inspired by, and that's not incorporated into their brand or their everyday life. And what really gets me excited is that, like, by recreating this process, and I have a 3 very simple step process that we can get into another time, when people figure out, and when I can help people figure out that they can have it all, they can have a job that fulfills them. I've had people, I have many examples, but I'll let you.
I hope we can not only share more stories, but we'll continue to collaborate and work together. And there's definitely synergy in what we do.
Yes.
And I'm so glad you've undertaken this role and with Goldstaff and Goldstaff Consultants, because I think that we'll be able to help more people, which is what always excites me.
Well, we will, and that's part of what is so exciting right now. Is I've had the luxury, and I've been so fortunate all these years. I know a lot of people, and I continually am meeting new people who are doing really cool, innovative, holistic things nowadays, if you will. And so Goldstaff is now, we have offerings. I have a pretty significant team of coaches and consultants with all areas of expertise, from recruiting and retaining and presentation skills, interview prep, interview debrief, all of that people aren't getting today. We certainly do resume, we do LinkedIn branding, all of that. But we also have, stress management coaches, we have nutrition and exercise coaches, and all kinds of things to help people go through the recreation process, whether they are looking for a new position or another position or to add on, in complete, because I see every part of people's lives are impacted. So we have all of those resources for you.
I'm so glad that you opened that door and said that. And we're going to extend this conversation. One more comment, question, and topic is I 100% agree with you. And for those of you who are out there listening, or you're checking out Fran later, watching this in a recorded fashion, or looking her up online, and I share this with people that some of this recreation that we do in our career, and even other things like in relationships and in our personal life, there's no way for those things to not touch all areas of your life, and we have to be mindful. And we see the fallout from that. So I think it's fantastic that you're bringing tools and ways in which you can help people in all facets of their life, because sometimes we overlook and zoom right past that.
Well, we do, and I've seen a lot. I've been through a lot. Been through a couple of very deep recessions. And so I've seen rebound and regrowth and recreation on lots of levels in business and not business areas. And I think you really have to adapt. Technology has taken us all by storm and is going to continue to, right? And so that has an impact. That certainly impacts stress and impacts skill set with regard to adaptability to make a transition. And oh my gosh, I could just go on and on. I see it all the time.
I know,
so
and you
it's really fascinating.
That word recession triggers this, and we'll wind down in a sec. But I think about how many people get stuck because they have a great idea, they have the why and the drive, they don't have the financial resources, or they're stressed and they have fears and blocks around, if I leave this job or this role, am I going to have enough money or finances to? there's a lot of challenges out there. So even to be able to offer that kind of support and like help with that money mindset.
Yeah,
is so important.
absolutely. There's so many components to it. It's a really fun topic, and it's a great time. This is the best marketplace. Again, we're here in New England where we are just so rich with resources and brain power and talent. It's unbelievable. So it's good times. This is really a good time to stop and take stock of where you are in your life and in your work, and get some resources, get some help to take it to the next level. And that's what Goldstaff Consultants is all about.
All right, so speaking of resources and taking to the next level, how and where can people find you?
LinkedIn, for sure. I would say that's probably the first go-to. Fran Goldstein.
Sounds good.
And I'll respond within 24 hours. I'm on it all the time.
Yes, and so on LinkedIn, here on Facebook, on this video, which we will share in other areas as well. And again, Fran, thank you so much. This has been awesome.
You're so welcome.
I'm hearing some of your wisdom.
Thank you. If anybody would prefer to email me, I'm thinking, you can certainly reach me at fran@goldstaffconsultants.com. I'm happy to respond that way, but I always think.
Boy, you're just blowing it out. You're just putting yourself out there. I love it.
I give my phone number, but identity theft, so
right,
there we go.
We have to draw a line somewhere.
I look forward to it.
Thank you.
Please do reach out.
Hey, everybody. Thanks again for watching, and whether it's now or later on. And make sure, Fran Goldstein, Goldstaff Consultants, check it out. Check her out. She's an amazing, no matter where you are. No matter where you are, right?
Yeah, no matter where you are. But the other thing I do want to mention before we close, and I thank everybody for your time and attention today, is if you do have a question, whether you're on the corporate side or the individual side, please do reach out, either via LinkedIn or fran@goldstaffconsultants.com. And I will absolutely offer a complimentary consultation so that we can dive a little bit deeper into what you are thinking and what your own questions are post this video today. And thank you again, Scott.
You're welcome.
I love working with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Don't pass that offer up. Check her out. All right. We'll see y'all soon. Thank you.